you firstly need to believe yourself and believe in yourself as well.
So, yeah, it's been just over a month since I've been in Kenya. Or it's just been a month now, and I think Kenya was one of the places I met really good people, change makers. I mean, across East Africa there was quite a few, but and I mean back home as well there's a few, but I think one person that really stood out while I was traveling was this girl in Kenya who is, they call themselves Generation X.
Okay.
And she was part of the riot that they had last year in Kenya because the youth wants opportunities. They want more than what they are given. And she was saying, before, well, it was like she's going to go study and she's going to become this certain person. But now it's like, is that really what she wants to do? Because she's made quite a few social innovators, change makers, and for her, it's like that's something that resonated. And I keep thinking back home that we have our own change makers here.
Mm.
You know, the organization started with change makers, and we, the organization started like that, but it's also shaped and molded quite a few people in this environment to be change makers.
I think I fully agree with you, Marel. Um, One of the things that I've highlighted or noticed recently, particularly about the youth of these days, in fact, us, well, I'm not sure whether they're calling us Gen Zs or
No,
what.
not Gen
Yeah,
Zs.
yeah. So uh, we just need to be given a platform. We are the change makers. We've seen quite a lot of youth that are doing great and wonderful things, amazing work, like for the country, for the communities, for the continent, where we've seen youth like taking up the space, like doing great work and impacting work to our communities. If I can just mention now, I do like, the tremendous or the current affairs. I do follow them a lot. There is now this a new trend, like whereby things are being recorded like that, more especially the government affairs. There's this young man that is more into politics. His name is, I think it's Liam Jacobs, if I'm not mistaken. He's making that to be so interesting for us as the young people to see what is happening, because we don't see like the real or the actually things that they debate about, hence some they're not being broadcasted. But the way that he is showing us the real world of whatever that they are doing
fact.
there, it makes you to be more interested. And he's very young. You can feel when he speaks his energy. That means it's the influence that he has or he's using, like, to influence other young people as well. Remember, now we're celebrating the youth month because of the youth that had an influence during that event that occurred, which is the 1976 uprising of the young people. So if they were not here, we're not supposed to have the people that I'm mentioning now. There's quite a lot of young people that are doing great and most innovative work globally. If we can make mention of, is there anyone that has ever thought that, by doing good or by volunteering, you can get something, you can earn experience, you can be rewarded for doing good. Actually, volunteering, people are taking it as something like, I can just go and volunteer, not knowing that you can be rewarded, you can impact someone else as well. When I talk of that, can mention Zlato, the likes of Alan, which is the CEO of Zlato. Now it's going viral and globally. It's something that is contagious.
Yeah. I mean, I like the fact that you speak about innovation and how you speak about Sata and the work they've been doing. I mean, they've been around since 2014 and formally like after that. But I think another innovation that's really been coming up is, or a change maker that's been rising, is the youth the platform called Rope.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they would have thought that this group of individuals from the Cape Flats is able to like transform the taxi industry.
Globally, Marel.
You
Globally,
know,
not just here in South Africa,
and I
globally.
mean, it's not the easiest task, right? But
Mm.
they are changing the way we use minibus taxis. They're changing the way that we are able to go to shops and pay. I mean, who would have thought that we could pay with WhatsApp now? You know, load money onto our WhatsApp and then pay like that. So it's really been interesting watching these change makers. Even I think about inner health clinics and how they are changing the way that medicine or healthcare is coming about. And I look at Dr. Chanel and Dr. Chad and how they are using the U image devices to train up more community youth, train up doctors that have the experience, that have the certificates, but it's not able to go and formally work in a government hospital or a private hospital, and helping them to become change makers in their own local context. So, I mean, we have quite a few change makers. I also think about this guy that we met in Tanzania, Paul. Um, he he changed his life around after doing programs with RLabs. He was first at home doing nothing, didn't really care about his future, and then he changed his mindset with one of the courses that he did, and he now owns 4 businesses. Four businesses, as well as like employs more than 20 people, with himself as the visionary behind it. I mean, we can speak about all of these people, but I also feel like you're a change maker yourself. You
Yeah,
know, you're
yeah.
changing the way people see Ranga. You're
Mm.
changing the way that the youth in Ranga is being shaped. Like, how does that feel? You yourself being in your early 20s.
Ish, Marel, now you coming in from a different angle. Like, I really, one of the basic things that I believe even someone else can use it as well, like to be the change maker. You firstly need to believe yourself and believe in yourself as well. We all have different gifts that we have an ability or a responsibility to make that a reality. Because the voice that I'm using to share, the words of motivation, the words of hope to the young people of Langa that I'm mentoring now, it's quite a very big number that I'm leading. So it's not something easy because I started thinking, started like as something to do as an hobby. But then because I fall into it, I was doing it wholeheartedly. Then I ended up like opening a platform for the young people to see themselves as the most valuable asset that can add value within the community, taking care of them, giving them the attention that they want, giving them the love that they want, give them a free and a very positive space. Then now it's where the change starts. Because now once we give them a platform to express themselves, they will be able now to tell what is it that we see for future, what is it that we can contribute within ours or with our in our society, so that we can be change makers as well. That now happens when you recognize them. If they don't get that recognition or they don't get that attention, they won't see themselves as the valuable people who are adding value. But now we give them that platform. I like the fact that you are also as well as young person traveling around. And I'm definitely sure that if we can put young people from different countries, I'll make an example, like we put them together in a room, then we have this conversation of like asking them that, what is it that you did to be where you are now? Definitely all of them will tell them, we started in believing or by believing in ourselves. Then now we spread that. And you cannot see like maybe just 27 people or that certain number that they said that, no, we were change makers because of this. Like we were a group of people that did this together. It's always one person.
Yeah.
That's something. then the rest shall follow on those footsteps. Like there's a quote that I like the most by Michelle Obama that says, and I think also Mrs. Parker as well, which is an RLabs director and a co-founder as well, which is Renee Parker. She likes that quote as well that says, for you to change the world, you cannot just change everyone at the same time. You need to change one person at a time, and that person will change the other person.
Yeah.
And that is going to be a continuous or a recurring change or an impact that is done. So that's what I think it's something that can be done. You change someone who's next to you, and that person
Yeah.
will change. That's how now we will change the world as young people, particularly, because I believe there is a potential in young people. There is hope. There is future. Look at how young people are taking up the space, how young people are, when more especially when they're given a platform or they are given, a support. I just read now a short story. I think it was based on the book. There's a young man called Kapela. Uh, what's his surname? His surname is Gobodo, Kapela Gobodo. He wrote a book called Bent Alive. He's a young people, I think he's probably in the early 20s. It's very interesting. And for the fact that it's written by a young person, you can resonate or you can relate on what he's talking about, like expressing his feelings on how he got disappointed because he was supposed to get a scholarship, but he was banned by his schoolmates in one of the top rugby schools.
Wow.
So that was a very touching book that he written about his personal life. Those are the young people that we're looking up to from our community, because he's from one of the townships here in Cape Town. People that we're looking up to. And you must know, for these young people to see themselves as the most valuable asset for our country, like locally and globally, there has to be someone who is the mentor, and that person with better experience and better understanding of the things. And these platforms, these opportunities that I'm talking of, you mentioned some quite few
So,
of them.
I mean, you mentioned quite a bit, Yanelisa. And I think one thing you mentioned about how, it takes one person to start and continue. Um, and one thing I've noticed was that it's a person that just starts, that doesn't overcomplicate things, they just start their business, they just start their
It's very
initiative,
true.
whether they have the funding or not, whether they have the support or not. But for them, it's that vision. And that's what makes a change maker.
Look. This is very interesting. Look at the young people that we are having on our first days. Our entrepreneurs that are part of our IEP programs. Those are the young people. Look at the wood kitchen managed by the young
Yeah.
people, like who are willing. Like, hence, I want to be bold on this when I'm saying that young people are there and they have a courage, but they need to be given a platform. It's
Yeah.
the platform that they need.
Exactly. And I mean, that's what we do here. Like, it's offering that platform. But I also believe that it's only accessible, it's only something that would work if young people take charge. So, yes, we have all these amazing change makers, but we also have the ones that, they have the idea, but when somebody else comes up with it and goes forward and they're like, oh, but that was my idea. Like, why is he getting recognition? Why are they getting recognition for it? And it's like such a controversial conversation that there's so many inputs to it. But yeah, I definitely believe that as much as they are, I mean, you spoke about mentors and you spoke about change makers across the globe or across countries. I do believe that mentors aren't only like those fancy people in big buildings, with this fancy title. Um, it's also about us as young people in our community who has a passion for what we do, who's making changes in our lives that can be mentors. A mentor is not defined by your age, A mentor is defined by the things you've gone through. And I believe that if we just connect as youth, if we connect to the proper networks, connect to the proper communities, we are able to thrive. Um, and I think back to when I was younger. I don't even think I would have been where I am based on my thoughts of when I was younger. But I remember what shaped me was always the fact that I know it's going to sound like I'm an old person or whatever, but like I'm happy I grew up without internet and cell phones, and all these access that we have now, because that shaped me for, and I know we are quite a few years apart.
Just, I'm
But
sorry for interjecting, Marel. Just you bringing something that is interesting as well. I just want to know more about, because even though I'm that late youth, if I can explain it like that, uh, there is this thing now, the youth of then, which is, I believe it's you, which is the youth of now, which is us. The difference between now you mentioning of the internet. During that time, it wasn't just easy to go and
yeah.
explore. And now which is the change of which is systems and processes is taking place. Now we've got things that we call AI. We've got things that so can you just share like a bit about that, like the youth of then and now? Because I believe that you also part of them, even though
I mean, I still have a couple of years left as a youth,
mm,
you know, but back then for us, it wasn't, I mean, we, for us, going home was when the street lights goes on.
mm,
But the most important part was that we connected. And I'm not saying that youth now don't connect with their peers, but however, not but, however, back then, those are the only things we knew. We only knew about going outside, playing together, connecting with other youth in the state, and playing games that would help us with our social skills, but help us also to think. Um, and I mean, the games we played was like, had silly names to it, but it helped us shape who we are now. It helped us shape how we communicate. And yes, we've gone through quite a lot. And back then, internet wasn't a big thing. Um, I think internet was only a big thing when I started, like sometime while I was on high school and I got a phone. But a phone wasn't something we had. Um, and connecting, I think that even the programs that we watch, the cartoons, the animations, is completely different to what we have now. And now I'm like, yo, what do we even watch? Because I watch with my nephews and nieces sometimes. But yeah, back then we were forced to play outside, but we didn't see it as a force, because we got to connect, we got to understand people's emotions, we got to explore and walk around freely. Yeah, I think it was very different to, because I mean, I think you and my sister might be the same age, and for her, she didn't spend as much time outside like me and
you,
my other siblings,
yeah.
But yeah, what
I
was
th-
your youth, or your,
Ish.
not youth, your early days? What was that like?
Mariel, I'm still in my youth, and I think and believe that I will enjoy my youth as far as I can, so that I can have that better experience. So I want to add on what you said, which is when we were comparing that time and this is now. I think we as the current youth, we more like focus on the change of which is of things. Now it's about time that we all accept that the youth of then and the youth of now will never be the same.
No.
Because now the experiences that you guys have or had that time, that there wasn't this advanced technology that we have.
Well,
Uh,
technically, I'm like in between,
mm, mm,
like
mm, mm, mm.
the days just before we didn't have internet, and like when we had internet. So
See now the things, the things now that this youth of these days that we they have or they experience, it's something that is telling you if where is the country going to. We more advanced in technology things or the systems that are being used. But back then, when you were telling of the people about the technology, like you could sense or hear that these people, but about the knowledge that they have, and they were very sure about the practical things that they were doing, because they were more focused based on practical things. But when
Also, I mean, you mentioned that, like, back then, like, speaking about technology, and I believe it wasn't like a big thing that we'd speak about technology, and people were afraid of what it would be doing to the youth. But even now, like, some people are still having that concern, like, am I supposed to be doing this? Like, what does it do? Especially with AI coming in now. Like, is my job secure? As an example, because AI is now able to do like a lot of things, right? If you just put in the proper prompts.
and people are even like some there I heard when they were introducing that AI, they said that AI is coming to take our job as you mentioned now, not knowing. But now the question that I was left with is that who's creating or who's building the AIs, which is the machinery? It's us. Who's doing the robots? All that, it's us.
But are
So
we explaining it properly to the people? Like how to properly use these tools, because it's easy for us to say that, AI can take over our job, but what does that mean? I mean, AI could take over some jobs, but I don't think everything. And we shared about, them, like, people being afraid to go into technology, but do we explain it properly for everyone to understand what technology is and how it's transformed the digital world? Because that's what scares people.
I think when we were, within our conversation, I mentioned something that I think it's very important, which is us, that term, a platform. You know, getting days like these ones that we are having, or months like these ones, celebrating the youth that we have now. So those are the platforms that I think people in authorities or people with influence like us. So they should use that as one of the key things, like that we know that we will make people be aware of how to use those things. At least if we are advanced or we go there, we go and learn about robotics. Come back and share the knowledge, do those workshops or sessions so
Just
that people,
overshare.
yeah, so that people can be aware, so that people can have a better understanding of what is it that we're dealing with, the change that, see, now we're speaking of the things that are happening in our country and outside of the country. Because remember, some of the things that are being like, it's a replica of the things happening,
Yeah.
which is, but then now, if it's good for us. So the question that we left behind is the youth fully equipped, or are those in authorities doing enough to equip the youth so that they can be more familiar, or they can be more relevant or related to what is taking place or what is going to change in the long run?
Sure, Yani. I mean, that's a loaded question, right? But it's a question that I feel is interesting. However, I do believe that should be in our next conversation.
Yes, yes.
Or even better. I mean, we could just leave it open ended and have people tell us what their thoughts are over the next couple of days.
I think now, while we're still celebrating this, we must make this open for everyone that thinks the person, you can have like their opinions or their views about this conversation that we are having. Because I believe if we can continue having such conversations, we can open what I call it a platform for them as well to feel valuable and adding value in what we are doing.
Maybe let's go live during lunch next
Yes,
week.
yes, yes, yes.
And
That would
invite
be
some other people.
that.
And have this conversation. But it was really good chatting to you.
That was really, really great. And thank you so much for sharing your insights and your experiences as well. I'm hoping that even though I've traveled local, I'm hoping to go global as well now.
One day.
Because I'm still the youth and enjoying my youth days. Thank you so much, Maria.